The Bedford HA was never built to be admired, it was built to work. Yet this tiny British van quietly became one of the most familiar shapes on the road, serving postmen, engineers, campers, and entire national fleets. Subscribe if you love classic British car documentaries. Today, we're uncovering the strange details and forgotten secrets behind the little van that refused to disappear. The little van that outlived its own car. One of the strangest things about the Bedford HA is that it outlived the car it was based on. Underneath its boxy little van body sat the bones of the Vauxhall Viva HA, a modest British saloon from the 1960s. But while the Viva moved on, the Bedford kept working year after year until 1983. Its shape barely changed because it did not need to impress anyone. It needed to carry tools, parcels, parts, uniforms, and sometimes an entire working day. That stubborn simplicity became its hidden advantage. In a world obsessed with new models, the HA survived by being useful, cheap to run, and instantly familiar on British streets. The post office bought 33,087 of them, mostly because they were cheap. Few details explain the Bedford HA better than the fact that the post office bought 33,287 of them. It was not chosen because it was glamorous, fast, or advanced. It was chosen because it did the job at the right price, especially after the aging Morris Minor van disappeared from service. For a national fleet, that mattered more than style. A small van had to be easy to maintain, simple to drive, and affordable enough to order in huge numbers, painted in official colors and seen outside homes, depots, and telephone exchanges. The HA became part of everyday Britain. Its fame was quiet, but its presence was enormous. The van with a fuel tank inside the cargo bay. One of the most unusual details of the Bedford HA was where its fuel tank lived. Instead of being hidden neatly beneath the floor like on many later vans, it stood inside the cargo area, behind the left rear wheel arch, protected by its own metal casing. To modern eyes, that sounds almost shocking, but in a compact commercial vehicle, every inch of packaging mattered. This arrangement helped keep the van simple and made use of the tight space available within the small body. It also reminds us how differently utility vehicles were engineered in the 1960s. The HA was not designed around luxury, it was designed around solving problems cheaply and directly. The strange suspension that tried to fight body roll. Under the Bedford HA's plain body was a surprisingly interesting piece of engineering. At the front, it used independent suspension with a transverse leaf spring, rather than the coil springs many people might expect. This was not just an old-fashioned shortcut. The layout was compact, durable, and helped the little van deal with the strange demands of carrying weight while still behaving predictably on the road. When cornering, the spring could help resist body roll, giving the HA a tougher, steadier feel than its size suggested. It was not sporty in the glamorous sense, but for a working van weaving through towns, lanes, and depot yards, this clever simplicity helped define its character. The bare-bones cabin built for work, not comfort. Step inside a Bedford HA and the message was brutally clear. This was a workplace, not a lounge. The cabin was basic, with hard-wearing surfaces, simple seats, rubber flooring, and very little decoration. Some fleet versions stripped away almost anything that was not necessary, because comfort cost money, and money mattered when hundreds or thousands of vans were being ordered. Yet that sparseness had its own strange charm. There was less to break, less to stain, and less to distract the driver from the job. The HA's interior told the truth about its purpose. It was a small room on wheels, built for early starts, wet coats, delivery notes, and long days. The toolbox van with removable bins and a ladder above your head. The Bedford HA became especially fascinating when fitted out for service work. For telephone engineers and other fleet users, it could be turned into a rolling toolbox with racking, removable bins, and carefully arranged storage in the cargo area. The aim was not just to carry equipment, but to make every tool easy to reach during a busy working day. Some layouts even stored a folding ladder high inside the vehicle, making use of space most drivers would never think about. This clever design turned a tiny van into a mobile workshop. It showed why the HA lasted so long. It was not merely transport, but a practical system built around real jobs. The tiny camper that hid a whole holiday inside. Perhaps the most charming twist in the Bedford HA story was the camper conversion. Companies such as Martin Walter saw that this humble working van could become something completely different. A tiny holiday machine. In Bedford Roma form, the HA could hide a compact interior with sleeping space, cooking facilities, storage, and a lifting roof that made the little van feel far bigger than it looked. It was not luxurious, but that was the point. It offered freedom in miniature, the kind of weekend escape that felt possible for ordinary families in 1960s and 1970s Britain. Beneath the workmanlike body was a surprisingly warm idea. Adventure did not need to be large. The Bedford HA DNA that traveled around the developing world. The Bedford HA's influence did not stop with British streets, postmen, and service engineers. Its simple mechanical DNA helped inspire General Motors' basic transportation vehicle program aimed at markets where toughness, low cost, and easy repair mattered more than style. Parts and engineering ideas linked to the HA appeared in practical utility vehicles assembled or sold in places far beyond the United Kingdom, including regions of Asia, Latin America, and Africa. That is what makes its legacy bigger than its size. The HA was not just a van, it was a blueprint for affordable mobility. Its greatest achievement may be that its ideas traveled further than the van itself ever seemed likely to go. The Bedford HA proves that a true classic does not always need glamour, speed, or luxury. Sometimes it only needs to become part of everyday life. Click to watch more stories about forgotten British classic cars. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment with your thoughts on the Bedford HA. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.